Greetings, I am Lies, and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal, and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together!
Alright! Lucio.
The shift in the creature's attention is palpable, as it leaves me to fall upon Asra from miles away over in the field. Just falls upon Asra. It wasn't that far away, it's only about an inch tall. I just
I said East perspective.
It's a perspective problem. He just done a rise, just right there. But I thought far away.
Yeah, so it's not exactly the same. Yes.
No, it's sunset or twilight. It can be very difficult at that distance. It's okay. After a tense moment, the creature seems to slump, turning away, shrinking to nothing. Which, since he's only an inch tall, does not take very long. Just shoot.
He's just instantly gone, pretty much.
Once he's gone, Asra's
hand
goes slack and slips out of mine.
Wait, I thought Asra was like grabbing your shoulder?
No, we were holding hands.
Okay, we were actually holding hands.
So Asra, I know you have never seen him before. What did you think? Or did you see him at all? Did you just feel the whole experience?
So I do think it's actually really interesting. So the Arcana actually had a really interesting comment going like, your MC would know what, quote, an anthro goat at least would look like.
Right, because
which I thought was interesting, but I'm also like, do you connect to the, like, do you use the word one anthro, which I suppose here is kind of silly anyway, because you know, we don't know this. There's so much that's like just left.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, left unquestioned. But like, okay, so you've seen that, but like, would you think of them as potentially something different, considering that they look different for sure? Also, like the devil card is very, very not the same compared to like Lucio slumped over and I have a missing arm and I look a little haggard and.
Part of me is just like Asra goes, looks like a satyr with the bottom of a goat and the top of a goat.
Right? But the thing is then you'd be like, do they have satyrs there? So you'd have basically a more established thing of going, okay, so this basically a religion or force seems to exist.
Whether they do or not have them there, do they have imaginary creatures there?
Right? What is your creative culture look like, actually? Which is a hard thing I've actually found for a lot of creators, is to go, what does your fiction look like inside the reality of your world?
Of your fiction.
Like, do they have specific kinds of monsters? What are their specific tropes? Like,
or do they believe in cryptids? Are there things that some cultures consider to be mythical and others consider to be factual?
Which is actually...
And or are mythical to some cultures but are religious icons in others?
Which actually kind of makes me wonder in a lot of stories, even though, so one of the big, huge, girl power tropes is going, I'm not like other girls, I read books, right? But that largely only seems to exist in worlds that are adjacent, quote, to ours.
Yes.
And it really doesn't exist in, like, fantasy or dystopian much. Like, I've actually
I think
realized,
part of that is...
Because then they would actually have to go, okay, let's talk about the plays, the theater.
They would have to define their world a little more absolutely, which means thinking ahead if they want to do a series.
Yep.
And they would have to make it somehow clear to the reader what things didn't necessarily exist there.
Because the only way that I've ever found that basically, like girl power YA especially, seems to, in fantasy or in other stories, really go, I'm capable of doing things and I'm not like other girls, is to actually make her a fighter and make her adventurous. Okay. Because they can't make her really into, like, books or literature or the usual trope, right? That was really common when I was a kid of, I read books, nobody understands me because I read books, I have my face constantly shoved in books. And, like, everybody else is like, well, what do we do? Athletic! Clearly! And I'm like, why not math? Because it would require learning, and because it would require education, and require clarification and understanding.
It require more absolute world building.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just like, you just girl power YA, so I'm like, girl power, yeah!
Yeah!
We scale clumsily down the rocks, still in a bit of a daze.
Were you dazed?
Good
to know after the fact that we were dazed.
He certainly was dazed, and I have now joined him.
Was he
supportively.
dazed?
He slumps down, so I'm now defining that as dazed? We don't know. I'm not in his head, I'm guessing.
Okay, sounds good. It will be the word of God here, so...
I now feel dazed, so I'm deciding, so does he.
Okay. I would like to know why you feel dazed.
Me
so
too.
one of the things that really bugs me is like sometimes people will assert things and you go, okay, cool, but why?
And I go, well, the thing that just happened. Okay, but is there
that
a reason?
Connect me to why I am dazed. Like,
okay,
just assuming that I am going to see a monster or whatever else is going to daze me, especially without any, oh my god, this thing talks to me and it has this look that just completely overwhelmed me, and I just stumble back without saying then that you're dazed, but then you kind of understand where you sort of clumsily reach around, we're going, the characters, they're dazed.
I was gonna say, with Kohai here, it didn't seem like they were having an experience of like intense emotion. It was more like they were observing Asra having an experience of intense emotion.
Because Asra just seemed mad.
That's an intense emotion.
So, you know what kills me though? Okay, so I don't know about you, but whenever I get angry, I don't get dazed. I get hyper-focused on whatever the fuck it is that I'm...
More angry.
Yeah, like, when I'm angry, I don't know anybody who actually, like, loses focus, if that makes sense. You tend to get hyper-focused on the thing that you're angry about.
What I'm guessing here is that basically, we're going, I see a thing, I notice this stuff, okay, there it is, and it notices me, and I go, I have been noticed. And then Asra's like, give your attention to me, bitch, do not pay attention to Kohai. And then, even though it's not been specified, they have some kind of a magical power conflict, which is why Lucio then shrinks away into nothing, and then Asra slumps down because it drained his power, and even though it was super powerful from your excursion in the cave, it is now drained, and that has dazed him based on Kohai's observation and labeling.
Okay, so the thing is I'm gonna be an ass here. Your character infrequently, so I can't really make this case really hard, but does go, I notice his aura or his magic, how powerful his magic feels.
How his magic feels, yeah.
So that's...
We're not noticing it right now.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just like, hey, why are we dazed?
As soon as he's back on his feet, which I suppose slumping means slumping all the way down to the ground. I thought it was just relaxing his shoulders.
Especially as, like, did you slump? And then did you butt scoot all the way down the cliff?
That's what I was going to say. We scrambled down without being on our feet.
Your booty scooty.
Asra rounds on me.
What in your mind? Didn't you?
How did you know?
Oh. Too. What did he say to you?
Asra, could you see him? I know it's not important to the plot, but I really want to know, since you said you'd never seen him before, even though you described him to me.
I also find that to be really interesting. So, socially for me, when a big scene like that happens, the person is slumped and drained, the usual stereotype is, if you're going to have the other person round on them, it's because they're in trouble. For whatever reason. Usually your character doesn't know, obviously.
I think this is how he expresses profound concern. He kind of panics when he's concerned sometimes.
Except that then you'd be like, are you okay? What happened? What did he say to you?
No, he's not worried about whether or not we're okay. He's worried about what happened so he can decide whether or not it was dangerous for us. This is a masculine trope. You know, you hear what I'm saying?
No. But the thing is I'm having a problem because to me it's not. It's too roundabout. Do you understand where his language is very indirect? So that's why I'm saying, for me, the masculine trope is to be very direct and round on the person. You're like, oh god, I'm in trouble, but you're not. And he goes, what happened? What did he say to you? And you're like, oh, you're trying to protect me. You're anxious. You're worried, but you're lashing out at me. So it makes it seem like I'm in trouble. Except that Astra's thing here seems very, like, his language is very like this. It's very circular. Like, let me not be direct.
So what I'm hearing is they're using that same behavioral trope that is a masculine trope of I'm worried about you, so I'm going to attack you. But since they've written Astra as, one, never saying anything directly for the most part, and two, as trying to soften him and his edges, they roll the trope into something softer. That's all I'm getting.
Okay.
They need you to know that Asra worries about you at all times, for all things, no matter what. He is a worrywart, but he is keeping it together.
Yeah, see, but the other trope you could have just gone with is going like, I will hug you. He rounds on me. I expect something else to happen. And then there's the hug, and there's that sort of like, are you okay? What happened? I heard
there is a level.
You could have that breakdown, but a rounding? Like, I'm talking about, like, so the language,
I know.
the construction of that particular, like, setup, to me...
Sounds like an aggressive behavior, and then his voice doesn't match it.
Yeah.
Yes. And on the other hand, he's
I'm saying,
also
again, you can have subversion, but the issue that I'm having is that it doesn't seem like it's set up well, or maybe I just don't understand Asra very well.
Asra has always been extremely contact-oriented, though, in his, like, I need to be reassured that you still exist. The fact that he's not touching you here is weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird, isn't it?
All right.
I do too. What did he say to you?
What did he say to you? He said my name. I think we would just answer him. I don't see why Kohai would be roundabout about it.
Why would you just... I'm going to answer your question with another question that is about...
Except for, I'm not going to answer your question. I'm going to counter your question with another question.
No, I'm going to take this mirror, and put it here, and here's your question back again.
Yes, exactly.
Which is very strange.
He said my name.
He knows your name?
I mean, it's been spoken all over the castle. If he lives there and he has ears, probably he should have heard it. Nadia says it constantly. Portia says it constantly. Anyone who else speaks to me, even though I don't think there's many other people there, according to the canon, they all say my name. So if he is listening about, I imagine it would be easy to pick up.
Oh,
Just saying.
I guess he does.
Yeah.
Why are you embarrassed about that? What? I am confusion. It's okay.
The blushing could be a discomfort blush, like they did with Nadia.
That's true. Mm-hmm. I don't let him scare you, Kohai. No matter what he says, you're stronger than he is. He was in my head too, telling me what he was going to do to me.
Do you know what I'm going to do to you? Asra, whoa. Boundaries.
Okay, so the thing is like, I appreciate where you can go, okay, Asra's being indirect here, but I don't know how to describe, like, I don't know, I don't ever think of Asra as being this sort of, like, non-communicative, unclear I don't know, it's just, the thing is I don't like unclear people who are just like, he said what he's going to do to me. I'm like, no normal fucking person really says that unless they're trying to manipulate you. He threatened
me, he was attacking me, something. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to describe it as a trope, like, it tends to annoy me in, like, shows or in books, where the character is incredibly fucking roundabout.
So in this case, it sounds very much like, what is it? Some people call it fishing. Going, I want you to ask now what kinds of things he said to me. I want you now to be concerned about me, so I'm going to tell you. He said what he was going to do to me. Really? What was that? Oh my god, did he threaten you? They want more attention and you to ask for the clarification to show interest.
And that would probably make sense, because, so the big thing that I never liked growing up was a lot of people basically who were very passive-aggressive. I was around a lot of them. And a lot of people who were very indirect. I grew up with very high passive aggression and a lot of indirectness, and I really don't like this behavior. It just annoys me. I'm like, don't make me dig because I'm already here. I care about you. Like, there's no reason you need to make sure that I'm invested. I'm here!
Unless he has profound self-esteem or self-worth issues, which can be extremely detrimental to a relationship because you're constantly checking to see if the other person does in fact actually like you and have interest. And, you know, they aren't just like being there because they're being so nice. Right?
And the thing is it's not saying that it doesn't make for an interesting character, but most of the time what I see are people going, I'm going to use this trope, but I don't have much to back it. It's just a trope to use. And rather than going, it has a point of origin or a purpose or a reason.
I'm not going to connect you to where the character got it from,
exactly.
Why they are that way.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Like you just go like, this is just them, and they're just constantly petering off into a corner, and you're like,
do it to me.
I told him to try it. He didn't.
I see.
See? He's not so scary. Does that make you feel any better?
Did I ever say I was not feeling good? Asra, I know.
So again, the thing about why are we dazed? Why is this suddenly going, oh no, this thing is so horrible and bad? Why?
Asra, I must ask you a question. Like just outside the dialogue.
Will you ever answer this? I don't know. Let's find out.
It's okay. I don't expect you to answer, but Asra, you said you are completely protected from him, so that you can't see him or hear him, and then that you want to protect me from him, but you want me to see him first. It sounds like you are deeply scared of him, and you are projecting onto me that I must also be scared of him, but I need you to know that I am self-aware enough to know that I am naive enough to not be afraid of him, because I do not recognize the danger currently, because he is just a goat man. In the distance,
he's an anthrogoat. He's much more messy than the devil god.
It means like nothing to me, other than if he is hurting you, then I am afraid for you, not of him.
Like, I actually do find that to be...
Perhaps the question is, Asra, does it make you feel any better to know that he is not that scary, and maybe I can in fact hold my own if I ever need to. Do you think?
Perhaps.
I suppose. See, even Kohai in canon going, I guess. I suppose that does make me feel better. I didn't know.
A little better?
I'm not really feeling bad about it, so it's not like I can.
So I was neutral. Better. So you made me feel more positive.
A little positive, yeah. But I was not feeling bad at all, so...
I'm actually really surprised. Again, we're so much... This is a first-person perspective story, and we're not going to basically explain to you what your character is actually feeling.
Or thinking. Or what their experience is other than, this is happening to me. But why? God, I find him so incredibly fucking scary. Chills running down my spine. You don't have to explain why. Just when you see them, goat in the field, I feel chills. I feel unnerved. Deep discomfort.
Right.
That's creepy as fuck for no reason I can explain.
Like, again, I still think and actually I think we were both really on board with it, of just being like, I think the thing is that if you're a guy in this game, or masculine coded in this game, there is a lot of caretaking that needs to be done for these other characters. And
from the other characters.
Yeah, like, you are not actually there to have your own story, this is about caretaking for your love interest. As for me, I won't feel better until I've put protections on you.
Asra? Once you put protections on me, will I still be able to see or hear him? And
because it does seem like you are still able to see and hear him.
And if I cannot see or hear him, is he any danger to me? But perhaps will I be able to hear him differently, but only more subtly, and so I will not recognize him because of the protections, which might make me a little more vulnerable in some way?
Huh?
I'm just asking.
No, but not too many. And just for now. Okay.
So later when I leave you, they will not be there? So only this minute while we are together.
Great. We're going to be leaving each other in probably the next 5 minutes, so...
It is awfully late according to the sky.
Aye.
Even though we could see everything clearly for miles.
That is us. Go ahead, read that.
I wonder... I travel aimlessly the distance between us. I wander into his loose embrace, which I did not know was in an embrace. I get a loose embrace around me after I get into him. And Asra returns us to the place beside the fire.
It's very interesting where sometimes there's a heavy emphasis on we're trying to be very deeply poetic. I wander into his loose embrace. Sounds very beautiful.
But when you think about it actually happening in we are maybe a foot or two apart, and I don't walk towards him. I wander non-directedly into his loose embrace.
And also...
he wasn't offering to embrace me, so I sort of put myself against him, and then his arms kind of come around me, or I put them gently around me, and then while his arms are gently around me, loosely embracing me, we walk together, which is, at best of times, a little awkward. I mean, this is not the best of times.
I don't know how to describe it. Like, I can't tonally understand this. Like, it keeps bouncing around, and also when I'm not... Again, not coherent as to what the fuck just happened. We're supposed to be dazed and scared, and yet we've never been told that we should be dazed and scared.
I can't walk into his embrace. I can only wander into it because I'm so dazed I cannot focus, even though I just listened very carefully to what he said, except the reason I might say...
And you were able to answer his question?
If I say, I guess so, vaguely is, I actually can't focus right now, I'm so dazed. I'm not really paying attention to what you're saying closely because I'm super fucking dazed. And he goes, these things, and I will say all of them, and protections, and this and that, and does that make you feel better? And you're like, I can't process all that. I guess so. I trying to sound like I am still here, but I am not. Instead of going,
I am off that way.
Instead of going, what?
Right.
Yes. And to the place beside the fire. His cool magic washes over me, heightening my senses again, making the dimming forest glow anew.
Question, am I hot? Why are you magicking me all the time? Is this about the protections? What are we doing?
This is probably the protections, I'm guessing. But only for now.
Yeah, but it's only book 8, chapter 1, the low road. Let's go.
The low... I'll take the high road if you take the low road.
I feel like
and we'll keep
the
together in the morning. We know lyrics for sure. It's, if you ever want to come see us on stream, we sing a lot. Just yes, so you know, there is a lot of singing. It's the dead of night. And a lot of birds. A breeze moves through the grass as we shuffle through golden fields. In the dead of night, I think this might be a dream. beside me, Asra is finally calm. He says we're going to meet someone. Has he not been calm this entire time? I think we've had a time skip. It's okay.
It's okay. I'm actually really confused.
A friend of his who can help us get far from the palace. We're already a few hours away.
Wait, now we're just leaving the palace?
Okay, again.
So you lied to Nadia.
Hold on. 1, we've just done a chapter break, so this can be 1, a dream sequence, or 2, a bunch of shit could have happened between them. We have no knowledge, because chapter break means you could do anything in between and then backtrack and let people know.
Yeah, but
so we don't know where we are.
You forget, the writing in this game doesn't really like to go back and tell us what we've done.
It doesn't.
Anyway.
It really doesn't. We're already a few hours away, so almost to the city.
You know, through the fields. Oh my god. Okay, anyway.
I'm sorry. Forever. I'm just picturing Nadia's castle up on the top of this huge, lush, beautiful hill, surrounded by her forest garden thing, palace garden thing, with the, surrounded by this moat thing with the, shrieking eels in it. Oh, sorry, vampire eels. And then with the bridge leading into it, and then just fields and fields and fields running down the steps and the slopes of this sort of like high rising hill for miles, and then the town circling around it below that, the city, the whole city, reaching actually the dock and the harbor and stuff.
Yeah.
It's okay. Few hours away. We're leaving the city. It started with a talk we had earlier.
Oh, it's going to actually jump back.
It does. It did.
Impressive.
It was while we were eating. Right after our encounter with the creature of the field. When it was night. But now, in my memory, it is day, and we are not in the same forest.
Quick question. Why do we call it creature? Wouldn't it just be Lucio does?
Interesting question. I don't know. Maybe the protections make us feel more distant towards him. Who knows?
That's fine.
I was just say, I think it's funny though to go like, or maybe you're trying to dehumanize it so you won't be sensitive. You won't be sensitive to whatever the fuck he's saying.
Right. So you're trying to really aggressively other, basically.
You're trying to very solidly go, this is a creature, not a person. Because a person I might listen to or feel sympathy for.
Yes.
But a creature I can go, no, it's just a thing.
Which I think is on. Okay. So I have a problem with all of this.
Do you? What's your problem?
Well, one of many. But
just one. You only get one.
Right now. So my big thing is going like, why do you dislike Lucio so much?
Because
why
Asra
do you
says
believe, though, that Lucio is bad, and why do you believe what Asra says? And
because we love Asra. Because Asra is our parent and our master and our teacher and our friend and our love interest.
But
and
we
he
were
taught
told
us the
that we
entire
need
world.
to find out who's murdered Lucio, and now we've completely gone off and ignored the Countess, who is our ruler.
And who hired us and is
and
now
who
our
hired
employer.
us and is now our employer. What I'm saying is that I have no motivation, that I cannot fucking follow for this.
And I was kind of wondering vaguely, if we're ever getting back to the palace. Like, or if Astra's route just goes to all the places he's normally disappeared off into.
Which would be interesting, and I don't know how we're going to deal with it. Like, I'm curious to see where this goes.
Perhaps Asra has no regard whatsoever for Nadia's authority. Other than when he's, immediately in person with her going, I'll ask you, can I borrow this person? And then nothing else.
Yeah, but, he also pulled a big, huge, dramatic maneuver that could have gotten him killed.
And made her real uncomfortable, and the guards freaked out.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, she seemed very chill. It was the Chamberlain who fucking freaked out and was like, why did none of you listen to my authority? Me. More hints that Nadia is incredibly fucking disorganized and doesn't know what she's doing, and actually apparently won't ask people and insist that people actually respect positions of authority.
And is
especially
very bad
if you have a society that is used to having basically a monarchy, so you have people who are over you. Why are your lower people so fucking disrespectful when you literally socially would enforce this?
Because
I'm just I don't understand.
As per Nadia's route, and also experienced a bit in Julian's route, Nadia has no concept of 1, chain of command, and 2, delegation. And neither, for whatever reason, do her people, so Lucio must have ran it that way too. Let's imagine Lucio's playing king, right? Mm-hmm. He's playing, Count, right?
Count.
He's playing Count. He's playing, I'm in charge of everybody, I'm a really big important adult, right? But when people start going to people under him, which is the structure I assume it had before he was there, unless he built it and started this entire, city on his own.
Right.
Who knows? I doubt he did, because it seems like it was always part of the empire, for the Empress.
Interestingly enough.
Anyways, so when he inherits the city in whatever capacity or at whatever time, then he goes, I'm supposed to be in charge, so I'm supposed to be dealing with everything. You stop doing that. You stop doing that. You stop doing that. And whatever number of years he's in charge, he slowly strips everybody's power away because he wants everyone to come straight to him. Otherwise, he's not involved. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't hear all the gossip. He doesn't hear all the problems. But he gets super overwhelmed by it and hates it too because he's like, why are you bringing me all this petty shit? And you've got his counselors and stuff going, well, they could bring it to us. No, of course, you're not supposed to do my job, but they should stop bringing it to me. That make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And so basically, there could have been really good chain of command and delegation, as you do in a functioning power system.
Right.
And he just deconstructed it when he got in charge because he went, this is supposed to be for me. If they're going to you, they're not for me. And I'm not being in charge of them if you're telling them what to do and how to solve their problem. And so then Nadia has to take that over, but since she's been abused and mistreated, spoilers for Nadia's route, by Lucio, and basically cowed into a position of being very strongly gaslit and invalidated, but she's also was really trying to support him as we're going to be an equal partner team, then she feels, so even without realizing it, that she must continue his legacy. She doesn't think about restructuring the power. She just thinks about doing what it is better. Like, there's a thing that I experience sometimes as a person where when people are in charge of me and they train me at a job for a system, I don't really think about innovating the system to change it. I think about how to do the thing they've put in place better because I feel like it's the thing that I feel like their authority is over mine.
As some people say, it is actually very difficult to fight the system when one is in the system.
Yes.
Because you actually don't realize just how far you are literally controlled by the very thing you are trying to destroy.
Yes.
Which is a very interesting, subtle theme that I actually find in Final Fantasy VII, but for another story.
and is very, I think, relevant here. All right? Okay, creature in the field. The fire had been warm, and we were sitting side by side, close after he showered his protections on me. Oh, this isn't gently spells. This is, I shower you with protections like affections.
Okay.
We were laughing about something that had happened in the cave.
You've already forgotten?
It wasn't important. Sometimes it can be not an event that happened in the cave, but like we made a joke in reference to something in the cave. I don't remember exactly how it went. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but like it was only this is a few hours ago. I'm fine.
No. Sometimes I can like come home from work and it happened just before, and I'm like, we said something and it ended up like this.
Okay, that's
so
fair.
We were talking about something, you know, it's something came to a head and it was he, but it wasn't really important, or I can't reconstruct the conversation exactly. None. My chest was light. When I stopped, I noticed that his face was very serious, and Faust, who had rejoined us, was still waiting for his next move. Was Faust with us when we saw the creature? I feel like she should have been.
She was, remember? She showed up and she goes, him! And then she gets into his clothes, and that was the last mention of Faust, I think, if I remember correctly.
I think it's a bad idea for you to go back to the palace, don't you?
Asra, do you think it is important that I respect the desire of our sort of sovereign leader? One of the princesses of the Empire, who is actually our countess, who has hired me and I've made an agreement with?
So anyway, I've made all these plans to be able to leave.
Okay, I see. I will listen to you. I had to think about it. It did seem dangerous to go back into Count Lucio's domain based on the really strong insistence of Asra. But what about the Countess? It was her domain now, and I was supposed to help her catch the doctor.
I am going to break something.
I am supposed to, but I was supposed
Okay, no. So I have a problem here, and this was the thing that I was referring to earlier. Why does your character think that it's Lucio's realm and not the Countess's realm? For all your character know, your character has been active and around for 3 years, while Nadia is the only one left. Lucio's already dead.
Lucio has never existed in our current lifetime.
Yes.
So I don't know, other than that Asra is telling you it's his realm. So the only reason it would be it's his domain is because Asra just spent the last few hours going, he is there, he lives there, he influences there, he's been there, he will find you there, have you seen him there? This is where he dwells.
Except that it also sounded like our character literally didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, and the only time we've ever seen that is when we went back with Nadia.
Also,
do you understand why I am annoyed?
Yes, no, I get it. I just don't know how to help you because it doesn't answer it.
It's more rhetorical. It's not aimed at you.
No,
and it really is that frustration in writing where you go, my guy, my dude, my man, my bro, my gal, my homie, my broski, my lemon slice, my enby, whatever, please. Why? Like, that is actually a character point to go, why do you wouldn't even then refer to it like this part of the empire, or just call it the city, or the queen's, what, like,
or
you don't
castle.
even refer to your other nobility, or your other classes. Nope, it's still Lucio's, even though you've never seen him, never run into him, and I'm not saying that Lucio's scars don't run deep, but wouldn't you want to say also, like, since you had no connection to Lucio and the plague as one thing, as we've learned for spoilers in the other route, why wouldn't you also then move it even further? Because at least everybody would be screaming about the plague that happened recently. Can you imagine the trauma that they would have gone through with Count Lucio? And then suddenly everybody goes, and then we had a plague that murdered thousands.
And then
the only
when
thing
he died, we had no leadership at all. We lost both of our leaders. And Nadia has just returned from somewhere.
I guess. I don't know how to describe where, like, this is just baffling. Anyway, keep going.
It's okay. I feel like it would be super strange, but also, for Kohai, given the experience of you're supposed to be very connected to their experience, and they are supposed to be primarily interested in Asra, who has been their main source of information and directed their interests, I would tend to say we're saying Lucio's domain because he just said so. And then we're using what our own experience is and adding. Isn't that also about the
trying to counter the thing that you've been taught? So some people actually talk about how typically what happens is your first reaction is your ingrained response that you have been taught. And then your other response to it is actually the way that you're trying to be.
Yes, so reaction is whatever your instinct is based on your
education and nurture,
your strongest, deepest education.
Yeah.
And then your response is your higher consciousness of you choosing to be who you want to be.
Yes.
And like, there's this thing that bothers me, and this is a tiny little segue as we're wrapping up here.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
There's this thing that bothers me where in stories and books and occasionally in real life, people will go, well, frequently in real life, well, if you reacted that way, those are your true, genuine feelings. So when you said, I'm sorry I reacted that way, I'd really like to approach this and do better and learn more about it. Well, I know what your true feelings are now. You can't trick me. And it's like, that is their instinctive response and not their higher functioning.
Yes.
For the most part. There are some people that will lie to you and try and be an asshole about it. But for the most part, when someone makes a horrified face when you tell them something unexpected, and then they calm down and they go, okay, I'm listening. It means this is my immediate emotional response, and now I'm open to learning. Let me, my higher brain, interact.
Yes, let me stamp down my critter response.
Yep, okay. To help her catch the doctor, what would happen if we left? Well, we're going to have to find out what would happen if we just left in the next one,
which might be in the future. Who knows? Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, to for being here. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share our stuff. Honestly, it actually does a lot for us in regards to the YouTube algorithm, even if you just, like the video.
Yep, or if you leave, even a nonsense comment, nice. It boosts our visibility amazingly. So if you want more people to interact with the fandom, making this a little bit more visible could be fun.
Yes. Also, if you want to support us, please feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi, our Patreon, and our Twitch. There are links in the description down below. We'd love to see you at those locations. And I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies.
And it was great playing with you.
Bye!